Hello everyone. Let's start with the editorial discussion of the Indian Express dated 10th of July 2023. Now the editorial is Chandrayan 3 mission. Why ISRO wants to explore the moon's south pole. Now this Chandrayan 3 mission is the follow-up of the 2019 Chandrayan 2 mission, which successfully placed the orbiter in the lunar orbit. And before this Chandrayan 2 mission, we have already sent Chandrayan 1 mission in 2008 successfully. Now, this Chandrayan 3 mission is set to be launched from Andhra Pradesh Sriharikota on 14th July 2023 at 2:35 p.m. So let's see some facts about this mission. We'll reach the lunar orbit approximately 1 month after its launch. And we have the lander as well as the rover in this mission also. These lander, rover and orbiter are connected to each other via this RF communication links, that's the radio frequency links. So they can easily communicate with each other and thereby perform the soft landing on the moon's south pole. Now we have this lander, that is Vikram, rover Pragyan. These lander and rover are likely to land on the moon in August month, that is August 2023. Now let's start with some facts about this mission which you must know. Now in this Chandrayan 3 mission, we are using the LVM-3 vehicle, that is the Launch Vehicle Mark 3. This Launch Vehicle Mark 3 is a 3-stage medium lift vehicle, and it is developed by ISRO. It was earlier known as GSLV Mark 3. It's the most powerful rocket till now. So we have already discussed this mission components, that's the propulsion module, lander as well as the rover. Now if we see some more facts about this Chandrayan 3 mission, that is its launch vehicle. This vehicle is 43.5 meters tall, and it has a diameter of approximately 4 meters, not that much important. Now it can carry a payload of approximately, or we can say up to 8,000 kgs to the low Earth orbit, and it can carry the payloads of up to 4,000 kgs to a geostationary transfer orbit. And the launch site from where this mission will be launched is the Satish Dhawan Space Center, Sriharikota. Now we are done with these facts. Moving to this, if everything goes well, means with this mission which is going to be launched on 14th of July, if everything goes well, then this Chandrayan 3 mission will become the world's first mission to soft land near the South Pole. Now why we are saying this? We have seen that many countries have already attempted and moved to the South Pole, but still we are saying that we'll be the first one to do this or perform the soft landing, because all the previous spacecraft to have landed on the moon have landed in the equatorial region, a few degrees latitude north and south of the lunar equator. And the furthest from the equator, if we see, means if all the spacecraft, they have landed near the equator, not the North Pole or the polar regions. The furthest from the equator was the Surveyor 7, which was launched by the NASA in 1968, which landed near 40 degrees of south latitude. So it was the farthest from the equator, or we can say the nearest to the South Pole. Now if we see, why hasn't any spacecraft ever landed near the lunar South Pole? Why all spacecrafts landed near the equatorial regions? Let's see why only near the equatorial region. The reasons are, it's easier and safer to land near the equator. The terrain as well as the temperature are more hospitable and conducive enough for a long and sustained operations of instruments. And even in smooth surface near the equator, absence of very steep slopes and craters near the equator, we know there exist the craters at the South Pole, but near the equator regions, the craters are very less, we can say few hills and craters, very less steep slopes or absence of the steep slopes. And sunlight is present in abundance in the equatorial region, as at least on the side which is facing the earth, and thus because of this it offers a regular supply of energy to the solar powered instruments which are installed in these spacecrafts. Now if any country perform the landing on the south pole, then the sunlight may not be available, and how they'll provide the required energy to these instruments, so it becomes the issue. Then if we talk about the polar regions on the moon, means why it is very much difficult to go or move to the polar region or perform the landing on the polar regions, because of the difficult terrain, as well as these polar regions lie in a completely dark region where the sunlight never reaches. Actually, the sunlight, if we see here the diagram, here we have the sun. Even if the sunlight goes, it goes to this part majorly of the moon, and these polar regions remain hidden for, or if even if the sunlight reaches these polar regions, then it's there only for small time, or we can say very less time. Now there's a lack of sunlight, the thing which we just discussed. There's a lack of sunlight and extremely low temperatures creating difficulty in the operation of instruments. Even the temperature is not that much favorable in the south pole, and there are large number of craters which are all over the place. If we see the craters in the south pole, the size of these craters varies from few centimeters to thousands of kilometers. Now after discussing the fact that why it's very easy to land near the equatorial region and very difficult to perform the soft landing near the south pole, let's move to why don't some parts of the lunar polar regions receive any sunlight. Because the moon's axis is tilted with respect to the solar orbit by 1.5 degrees. If we talk about the earth, then the earth's spin axis is tilted with respect to the plane of the earth's solar orbit by 23.5 degrees. And what about the moon? It's tilted by 1.5 degrees. So because of that, sunlight is comparatively less which reach here. And moreover, whatever the sunlight comes, or we can say fall on the moon, it fall near the equatorial region, and these polar regions remain hidden from the sunlight. And even if the sunlight reaches to these polar regions, it's there only for less time. Now these areas where the sunlight never reaches, or if it's there, it's for very less time, these areas are particularly known as permanently shadowed regions or PSRs, because the sunlight never reaches or shines on the floors of a large number of craters which are there in the North Pole as well as the South Pole. You can see here the large number of craters which are present on the moon polar regions. You can see here these are the craters, which creates difficult terrain as for the spacecraft which are going to land here, and also sunlight never reaches to few craters which are very deep. Now let's know why do scientists are very much interested in exploring this lunar south pole. Because this lunar south pole remain unexplored. Because we know the spacecrafts have landed near the equatorial region and not near the south pole. And these regions could be very interesting if we explore them. It can reveal the various facts about our universe. Now why it's very much interesting to explore these regions or explore this south pole? Because there exist ice molecules in substantial amounts in the deep craters in this region, which indicates the presence of water. And also the extremely cold temperature means anything whatever we can say is trapped in these craters would remain frozen without undergoing major change. Also the rocks in the soils of this moon's polar region, they could provide the evidence or clues about our early solar system. Now you can see here the earth and the moon. The moon one side always faces the earth and it is quite locked with the earth. And even if the moon revolves around the earth, this face is always fixed, and the other pole, or we can say the other side, is hidden from the earth. And this is the moon's north pole as well as this is the south pole. So these facts make this lunar mission very much interesting, and if we do this or if we perform the soft landing on 14th of July 2023, then will become the world's first mission to soft land near the South Pole. So let's wait for 14 July 2023, and after that we'll have more content to discuss about. If you find this helpful and want me to upload such content, then do like and subscribe this video. Thank you.